thinking about canola 50 years ago, even 20 years ago, it was that close to being considered as a weed.
Researchers thought Canada's importing 90% of all the edible oil that we use, and maybe we can use rapeseed oil as a domestic source.
All of a sudden there was a lot more interest from the processors and the buyers of vegetable oils, and it increased our acreage dramatically.
Because it was developed in Canada, it was new and unique for everybody. Everybody needed to learn and grow together.
When we formed the Canola Council, we made sure a big cross-section of the people involved in canola in Western Canada were on it, from growers, processors, grain companies, and researchers.
It's the most profitable crop for as producers to grow. It's become a foundation of Canadian agriculture. So I think that when you look at that, and then you look at all of the people that have come together to make that happen, we've collectively shared that vision.
And that's not an easy task, because many times, if you take all the members of the value chain, we have competing interests. But I need to step back and think about what's good for the industry.
I came from the grain industry, and we're always in competition with everybody. To come to the canola industry, it was a breath of fresh air. Everybody had one goal.
Well, I think there's the greatest achievement probably was when we achieved GRAS status for the United States market. So that was a huge gain for canola oil.
All of a sudden, the value of our seed shot up, and that was pretty exciting. And then when we got the qualified health claim, that was incredibly exciting.
I think a real milestone in the evolution of canola in Canada is the early days of the registration meetings. There was a lot of acrimony, let's put it that way, as the public sector and the private sector came together.
But this was a fairly momentous occasion because it was the first product, basically GMO product coming to market. But you had to get it past this recommending committee.
And that was the forum to debate what the rules were or what they should be for bringing new varieties and then ultimately new hybrids and herbicide tolerance to Canadian farmers. And it was the best theater going in agriculture from my perspective at the time, because there were people who were extremely passionate about what they were doing and arguing, pounding the table about what the rules needed to be so that we could ensure that we had innovation coming in canola, that we weren't holding it back.
I just think it's an excellent example of the industry working together, because we had the biotech people, the 400 people in the room of who's who in biotech. So they were very eager. We had the growers that were very eager to get a hold of this technology, and you had the crushers in the middle who sort of had to go along, take some business risk, take a leap of faith.
We entered the canola processing industry in 1999, and the first few years was certainly about us learning the business, and the industry in general went through 2 or 3 years there of low production, drought conditions, and then you could start feeling some momentum.
All the good things that happen don't happen by accident. There's people behind the scenes that are making things happen.
I mean, my story is, I would say, it's a very historical event in the history of canola in Canada. Sitting in a restaurant, parked out for maybe even a day or two, to pick up a letter that would be giving the first approval of a GMO canola in Canada and, in fact, in the world.
I think the Canola Council, through its initiatives and having strategies as to how we were going to get there, and that was necessary for the industry, because if we had built all this capacity and didn't have the raw material to put through the plants, it would have been a disaster.
When people look at the Canola Council today, they see a very successful industry, they see a very successful organization, but there are always challenges.
Whether it's as it relates to production, whether it relates to trade. The reality of that is that if we didn't have an effective Canola Council, as independent companies or independent producers, we don't have the ability to collectively manage through that. And it's the council bringing everybody together so you can get a collective voice and have the mass to move forward and make a change on these issues.
It's often viewed by other industries as sort of a gold standard.
In the canola industry, it's the people that make this work, and it's everybody with a common goal.
The sheer fact that it exists, and it's existed for 50 years, is in itself a very notable achievement. You have every segment of the value chain has come together to talk about canola.
The factors of our success have been working together and making common investments and common choices.
As we look forward, we need to think about how do we continue to differentiate ourselves, and the council is going to be, I believe, an integral part of making sure that we don't lose sight, that we stay ahead of trends, that we figure out how to innovate so we keep that crop profitable throughout the entire value chain and still meet the consumptive needs of consumers and keep it as the major crop in Canada.